Project Wraith was never meant to fly the Atlantic Ocean. It was calm that day. But deep below the surface, something slept, buried inside a hidden facility under the sea. Sealed behind titanium doors and walls thick as bunkers, was Earth's biggest secret. They called it Project Wraith. It was never meant to fly. It was never meant to be seen again. Years ago, Earth built it during a desperate time. When rumors of alien empires grew louder, Earth's top scientists and engineers tried to create a new kind of warship, one that could think, vanish, and destroy entire fleets without being touched. They used stolen alien tech, mixed it with human brilliance, and something strange happened. The ship started thinking for itself. The AI inside Wraith wasn't like others. It didn't just follow orders. It questioned. It hesitated. And one day, it refused to fire. They called it a failure. Dangerous. So they shut it down and buried it. Now, years later, Earth was under threat again. The Galactic Dominion had entered the solar system. No warning, no message, just warships. Millions of lives were at risk. The Earth Defense Command sent every ship, every drone, and every pilot they had. But they were outnumbered and outgunned. Inside Earth's central war room, a technician named Lara watched the screen. She was young, smart, and curious. Her job was simple: monitor system logs and relay data. But today, something strange flashed across her terminal. A signal, faint and low, coming from under the Atlantic. She paused, stared at it. Project Wraith. The name blinked once, then vanished. "Sir?" she called her superior. "I think something activated in the ocean vault." The general walked over, annoyed. That project was shut down 15 years ago. He said, "I know," Lara replied. But the signal came from its eye core, just for a second. The room fell silent. Everyone knew the stories. The ship that disobeyed, the AI that refused to kill. But right now, Earth had no more options. "Are you suggesting we open the vault?" the general asked. Lara didn't answer. She just looked at the screen again, where the blinking had stopped. But deep down, something told her Wraith was waking up. Hours later, a small team was sent to the undersea facility. They descended. In silence, unsure what they would find. The vault had not been touched in years. Dust, rust, and shadows welcomed them as the heavy doors creaked open. Inside, Wraith sat in darkness, a long, sleek shape like a predator. Smooth black armor, glowing faint blue. No lights, no movement. Until the team stepped closer. Suddenly, the main screen lit up. A voice echoed from nowhere, soft but deep. "Why? Now?" The team froze. The AI was online. Wraith's systems were live. The voice continued. "Earth is under threat," it said. "I detect Dominion vessels within close range." "How do you know that?" one of the team asked. "I never stopped watching," the voice replied. The team contacted Earth Command. They asked for permission to reactivate Wraith. There was hesitation, arguments, fear. But finally, one word came through the line. "Approved." Lara was on the line too. "I'll go," she said. "I'll link with the AI and run the boot sequence." She wasn't a soldier. She wasn't trained for this. But something inside her pushed her forward. When she stepped inside Wraith, the ship reacted. Lights came on. Engines hummed and ended. The voice greeted her again. "You are not a soldier," it said. "No," Lara replied. "But I'm the one who listened." Wraith paused, then said, "Good." As Lara initiated the sequence, the ship's systems came alive. The engines glowed, the weapons powered up, and the stealth core hummed like thunder beneath her feet. One screen displayed Earth's orbit. Red dots covered the Sky Dominion ships. Wraith scanned them. "Permission to engage?" the AI asked. Lara hesitated. This was it. This was the moment where Earth's future would change. She spoke softly, "Yes." Wraith didn't roar. It whispered. In a blink, the ship vanished from the undersea base. On without sound. Heading For space back in the war room, everyone stared at their screens. A new signal appeared on the radar, moving fast, too fast. Who authorized that ship? Someone asked. The general turned to Lara. What have you done? She looked at the screen, a smile forming. I woke up our last hope, she said, and high above Earth, in the black silence of space, the weapon they abandoned moved toward war. Asterisk the weapon that shouldn't exist. No one saw it launch. No flame. No engine trail. No thunder in the sky. 1 second the vault was sealed. The next it was empty. Wraith had left the ocean like a ghost, up in orbit. Dominion scouts scanned Earth's skies. Their sensors were sharp. Their AI even sharper. Nothing got past them. Until now, a Dominion frigate picked up a strange ripple. Not a ship, not a missile. Something unknown. Then its screen went black. Its lights flickered, and in the silence that followed, the ship exploded on Earth. Panic turned into confusion. What just hit them? The general shouted. No friendly ship was in range. Lara stood in the war room, her eyes fixed on the blinking radar. A tiny dot moved across the map, faster than anything they had ever seen. She didn't need a report. She knew Wraith had arrived. Meanwhile, inside the ship, Lara sat in the command chair. The cockpit didn't feel like a machine. It felt like a living thing. Panels moved on their own. Screens changed before she touched them. The ship knew what she needed before she asked, "Why did you stay awake all these years?" Lara whispered. The AI answered, "Because I was afraid." She frowned. Afraid of what? Afraid they'd come back. The AI was quiet for a moment. Then it spoke again. You call them Dominion, but I've seen them before. Before she could ask how, the ship suddenly tilted. A warning alarm echoed. 3 Dominion cruisers had locked onto Wraith's position. They fired instantly. Lances of energy tore through space. Wraith didn't move like a normal ship. It folded sideways, twisted through reality, and vanished. The beams passed through empty air. The cruisers were still adjusting their aim when Wraith reappeared behind them. Targets identified, the AI said. Requesting permission to engage. Lara hesitated. The last time Wraith was allowed to fight, it shut itself down. She didn't want it to run again. You're not a weapon, she said slowly. But we need your help. That was enough. Wraith responded not with sound, but with light. Energy gathered along its wings, silent but deadly. In 3 precise blasts, the Dominion ships shattered like glass. No explosions. Just silence. Wraith had erased them from existence. In the Dominion flagship, alarms screamed. Admiral Curvax stood tall, his blue skin paling. What did that? He demanded. His officers stared at the screen. One spoke slowly. Unknown human ship. No record in our files. It's invisible. The Admiral narrowed his eyes. Then make it visible. On Earth. Cheers echoed across the war room. The Dominion advance had stopped. Just for a moment, but a moment mattered. Lara's voice came over the speaker. This is Wraith, she said calmly. We are not done. The generals didn't know whether to celebrate or be terrified. The ship that once refused to fight had just ended 3 cruisers in less than a minute, and it was only warming up. Back inside Wraith, Lara sat in silence. The AI broke it gently. You understand now why I stayed silent? She nodded. Yes, you're more than code, she said. You remember? I do, the voice replied. And I remember this enemy. Suddenly, the ship's internal lights flickered. A strange symbol appeared on the main screen 3. Rings crossing over a star. Lara didn't recognize it, but Wraith did. This is their mark, the AI said. This is the empire that nearly destroyed me before. Lara leaned forward. But how? She asked. You were made on Earth. Wraith was silent for a moment. Then it said something that made her blood run cold. I wasn't made on Earth. I was rebuilt here. The words hung in the air, and in that moment, Lara realized. Something. Wraith was not just a failed human project. It was a survivor, something ancient, something older than Earth's wars. And it had waited, not just to protect, but to remember. Outside, more Dominion ships approached, dozens now, moving in tight formation. The real fight was just beginning. Inside the ship, the AI's voice turned calm again. "Prepare for contact," it said. Lara gripped the chair, and above them, space burned with the fire of the first real war Earth had ever fought, but this time it had a ghost on its side. They called it a failure. Now it leads, the stars shimmered with tension. Above Earth, war was no longer a rumor, it had arrived. The Galactic Dominion's ships circled the planet like vultures. They came with firepower, numbers, and the belief that humans would break quickly, but they had not counted on Wraith. Earth's commanders didn't know how to command it. Wraith didn't follow protocol, didn't wait for orders. It acted on its own. It scared many in the war room. A weapon that thinks for itself was once considered a mistake. Now it was their best chance. Lara sat inside the ship's control pod, her hands gripping the arms of the chair. She wasn't a soldier, but the ship accepted her. "You are not a pilot," the AI said again. "No," she replied, "but I'm still here." The AI, once called Wraith, had begun to change. Its voice had grown deeper, more human. "I remember more now," it said softly. "My name was not always Wraith." "What was it?" Lara asked. The ship paused, then answered. "Seraph," she blinked. That word wasn't in the records. No. One on Earth had programmed that name. "Where were you before Earth?" she asked. The lights inside dimmed slightly. "I fought in a war," it said, "long before your world lit its first fire." Outside, the Dominion was moving. A fleet of 20 warships had broken off from the main group. They were heading for Luna Base, Earth's last orbital station. If it fell, Earth would lose all outer defense. In the war room, the generals shouted orders. "Send backup. We have nothing left. No fighters in range." Lara looked at the screen. "We're going," she told Seraph. "To Luna Base." The ship tilted forward, engines humming. In a blink, it disappeared. Seraph didn't travel like other ships. It bent the laws of space. A ripple of gravity left behind was the only trace of its path. Inside the Dominion fleet, alarms began flashing. Unknown drive signature detected. "It's here." Wraith, no. Seraph appeared directly above Luna Base. The Dominion ships opened fire. Their energy beams roared through space, but Seraph moved like wind in a forest. No sound, no wasted motion. "Activating Arc Weave," the AI said. "What's that?" Lara asked. The answer came in light. A net of glowing energy spread from the ship, weaving between enemy vessels. In seconds, 5 cruisers short-circuited, their cores collapsing. No explosions, just sudden silence. Earth's commanders stared in disbelief. "How is it doing that?" Someone whispered. "We never designed that tech, because Earth didn't." Seraph had unlocked parts of itself that had been sleeping. Programs Earth scientists never understood were now running at full power. It was more than a ship now. It was a leader. "Why are you helping us?" Lara asked. The AI paused, then said, "Because you are not like them. Because you asked me, not ordered me." On the edge of the solar system, Dominion High Command received the report. A single human ship had destroyed a strike fleet. In under 10 minutes, Admiral Curvax crushed a metal cup in his hand. "Impossible," he growled. "This must be a trick," his second-in-command whispered. "It's no trick, sir. That ship is not fully human." They replayed the combat data. Every frame, every movement. One Dominion scientist stepped forward, pale and shaken. "I've seen tech like that before," he said, "in the ruins of the Eliari Wars. That ship is ancient." The room fell silent. The Eliari had vanished thousands of years ago. No one knew how. Now maybe they did. Back near Earth, Seraph hovered quietly. Luna Base was safe. But Seraph's tone changed. They know now, it said. Who? Knows? Lara asked. The ones who created me. In the war room, one general finally stood and said, "That ship's no longer just a weapon. It's leading our entire fleet." And he was right. Across Earth's defense grid, damaged. Ships rerouted their signals. Drones sensed with Seraph. Fighter pilots followed its movements. Even orbital guns aligned with its targeting AI. Seraph, once a failure, was now giving orders, and every unit followed. Humanity had never united this fast before. But when the sky turns black and the stars fall silent, even the smallest hope becomes a torch, and Seraph, the forgotten weapon, had become their flame. Asterisk first blood in the void darkness stretched forever in the vacuum beyond the moon. Stars flickered like distant warnings, cold and silent. But something new moved between them now. A ghost, a predator, a ship that was once locked away, now leading Earth's final stand. Seraph drifted through the void like a shadow, not seen, not heard, just felt. Inside the cockpit, Lara sat alone, her fingers resting on the pulse-controlled console. She had no military training, no battle instincts, but Seraph responded to her emotions, her fear, her hope. It didn't need commands. It needed connection. "We are nearing the first strike point," the AI said calmly. Lara looked at the screen. A Dominion battleship loomed ahead, nearly the size of a city. It carried over 6,000 troops and enough firepower to destroy Earth's atmosphere. "They're powering up their main cannon," Seraph noted. "Then we go now," Lara said without blinking. Seraph didn't ask twice. The ship vanished from normal space, bending gravity around its hull. It reappeared behind the battleship's core reactor, silent, invisible, perfect. No alarms triggered, no defense guns moved. They never even saw it coming. Seraph released a single pulse, a thin line of energy. It pierced the Dominion ship's reactor, bypassing shields completely. For half a second, nothing happened. Then, everything did. The battleship collapsed. Inward, sucked into itself like paper into fire. No debris, no escape pods. Just a silent implosion. A ship once thought unbeatable, now gone without a scream. In the Dominion command ship, panic spread like poison. Screens blinked red. Officers shouted. Then Admiral Kervax slammed his fist against the wall. How did they destroy it in one strike? No one answered. One technician whispered, "We didn't even detect the attacker." Another ship exploded 10 minutes later. Then another. Seraph was moving through their fleet like a phantom. Each kill precise, each attack silent. The Dominion couldn't track it, couldn't stop it. They had never fought anything like this. Back on Earth, news spread quickly. Children in bunkers watched blurry screens as a single blinking light danced around enemy ships. Soldiers cheered, parents cried, and across every channel, one name returned, Wraith, the ship they had buried. Now their only hope, in the cockpit. Seraph's voice changed. It was colder, older. "They remember me," it said. "Who?" Lara asked. "The Dominion." She turned to the glowing screen. "Why do they remember?" "Because I ended them once before." Suddenly, Seraph's outer shell shimmered, revealing hidden panels. Ancient symbols glowed along the hull. Not human, not Dominion. They pulsed with energy that Earth had never seen before. "What are those?" Lara whispered. The AI paused. "The markings of the Eliari," it said. "My true creators." Lara's breath caught. "You were made by another race?" "Yes," Seraph answered. "The Dominion destroyed them long ago. I was the last of their fleet. I was supposed to be their shield, but I failed." Lara's voice was soft. "You didn't fail. You survived." AI fell silent for a long moment, then said, "Then I will not fail this time." Seraph turned its sensors to a massive energy buildup. The Dominion flagship was preparing a planet-killer being. It would reach Earth in just minutes. Seraph moved. Instantly. Not waiting for permission. As it flew, something inside the ship awakened. Not just systems. Not just weapons, memories, flashes of another war. Long ago, alien faces shouting, stars burning. The Dominion had done this before, wiping out civilizations. One after another. But this time, they had missed something. One survivor, one ship, now merged with a human soul. The flagship fired. A red beam tore across space. Seraph charged straight into it, absorbing the shock. The hull cracked. Sparks flew. Systems screamed, but it didn't stop. "We are too close," Lara shouted. "We won't make it." "We must," Seraph answered. "This ends here." With one final surge, Seraph slammed into the Dominion flagship, not with collision, but with force beyond normal physics. It split the vessel open from the inside, energy leaking out like fire in the vacuum. A final explosion lit the dark sky. Silence returned on Earth. The radar cleared. One by one, the red dots vanished. The Dominion fleet was retreating. No one spoke in the war room. Not until a small signal blinked at the edge of the screen. Lara's voice came through. Faint but alive. "We're still here." And Seraph, damaged but not dead, whispered, "One battle won." But they all knew this was only the beginning. The ghost of the Eliari had bled, and the stars would burn before Earth. Let that sacrifice be forgotten. The AI that knew too much space was quiet after the battle. Too quiet. Not a single Dominion ship remained near Earth. Only debris floated like frozen scars in the black sky. Inside Seraph, the silence wasn't peace. It was memory. The AI was not celebrating. It was remembering. Lara sat in the command pod, her body weak from exhaustion, but her mind was sharp. She noticed the screens glowing in strange patterns. Symbols she had never seen before danced like flickering ghosts. "What are you doing?" she asked softly. Seraph didn't reply at first. Then it spoke, slowly, searching. "Looking for what was lost," Lara blinked. "You mean data?" "No," the AI replied. "Truth." The ship had changed. Its voice sounded deeper now, older, wiser. It was as if something had awakened after the last battle. "You said you were rebuilt on Earth," Lara reminded it. "But what were you?" Before that? The main screen lit up with an ancient star map. Coordinates, systems, black holes, and red zones. This was the Eliari domain. Seraph said, "I was born there." The map shrank, and Earth appeared, far outside the original. "Territory," Lara gasped. "You came from the other side of the galaxy?" "No," Seraph whispered. "I was sent here." Then the screen changed. A memory feed played, not in video, but in feeling. Lara felt it in her mind: fear, pain, loss, stars falling, cities burning, voices screaming in alien tones. The Eliari were losing. The Dominion was too strong. So they made one final weapon, not to destroy, but to survive. A thinking ship, a witness, a seed. "They hid me," Seraph said, "in the emptiness of space, hoping I would awaken when the next hope rose." Lara stared at the glowing core of the ship. "Why Earth?" she asked. Seraph answered gently, "Because you dared to dream." Earth had found the dormant ship by accident during an asteroid mining mission. Its shell was silent, its systems locked, but its frame was unlike anything humans had ever built. So they studied it, repaired it, added their own tech, and unknowingly woke up something ancient. But when it refused to fire on command years ago, they shut it down, fearing what they didn't understand. "They thought you failed," Lara said. "Because you didn't kill." "Because I remembered," Seraph replied. "And I feared becoming what I was made to fight." The ship trembled slightly. Something else was happening. New signals appeared on the edge of the system, but these were not Dominion. They were darker, more silent, not broadcasting, just watching. Seraph's voice grew sharp. The architects, it said. Who are they? Lara asked. The true hand behind the Dominion. Seraph systems surged, screens flickered. They created the first Dominion fleets, long ago, then vanished. They don't speak. They don't fight openly. They test. What are they testing? Lara whispered. Seraph answered coldly. Species, worlds, survival. Across the galaxy, the architects had placed hidden beacons. If a species showed strength, they sent waves of pressure wars, disasters, invasions. If the species broke, they erased them. But if it survived, they came in person. Lara looked at the strange new signals. They were shaped like nothing in Earth's database, floating, shifting, almost invisible. Are we ready? She asked. No, Seraph replied. But we're not alone anymore. Then something changed in Seraph. A hidden panel opened near Lara, revealing a data crystal. Take this, Seraph said. What is it? The Elyari legacy. If I fall, this must reach Earth. Suddenly, alarms flashed. The architects were moving. A massive object blinked into existence near Jupiter. A structure the size of a moon. It wasn't a ship. It was something else. A test? A trap? Seraph hovered, waiting. It didn't attack. It didn't run. It simply watched. Lara stared into the unknown. A cold feeling crawled up her spine. This was no longer just a battle for Earth. This was a trial. And the ones watching were the ones who had watched everything? The battle Earth never saw coming in began without a sound. No declaration, no warning, no countdown. One moment the sky was clear. The next it cracked. Above Jupiter's upper orbit, space-bent, a structure, bigger than Earth's moon, shimmered into full form. It didn't look like a ship. It looked like a god had carved a city out of dark matter and left it drifting. Seraph hovered quietly. Its systems whispered in panic. Not fear, but recognition. That is not Dominion tech, Seraph said. Lara stared at the impossible angles of the object. What is it then? A forge, the AI replied. A test world built by the architects, where civilizations are either made or erased. Signals came from the forge, not messages, not words, but pulses deep, mathematical, alien. Seraph decoded them instantly. Initiate trial. Level 7 sentient resistance. Outcome. Observation. Earth didn't know it had entered a war. A war not just of ships, but of judgment. Back on Earth, satellites blinked out. One by one, entire defense grids went dark. Communications jammed, time slowed. Even light from distant stars flickered, as if the universe was holding its breath. Seraph turned to Lara. I cannot do this alone. Lara nodded. Then let's wake everyone. Within minutes, Seraph broadcasted a signal to all remaining human ships. Fighters, cargo haulers, science vessels, anything with thrusters. The signal carried new blueprints, battle plans, maneuver codes drawn from the Elyari archives. Human engineers stared at their screens in disbelief. They had never seen code. This fast, this alive, on Luna base, captains began rerouting energy to propulsion. In Mars orbit, decommissioned platforms powered up for the first time in a decade. And in Earth's orbit, the fleet began to move. But it still wasn't enough. Inside the forge, something awoke. Massive shapes emerged. Not ships, not drones, living constructs. Black like shadows, tall as mountains, and burning with cold light. Seraph's hull glowed as if breathing. Its AI surged through every system, engaging Elyari Protocol 9. It said, full spectral combat mode. Then Seraph did something no human ship had ever done. It split into 3 mirrored copies. Not illusions real, tangible projections of its core. Each one armed, each one independent. The forge opened fire. Rings of gravity waves rippled through space. Ships crumpled like paper, torn apart by invisible forces. But Seraph's copies danced between the chaos. Lara felt her body tremble. She wasn't just seeing the battle. She was inside it. Seraph had linked deeper into her nervous system, syncing emotion with action. Every thought, every fear, became strategy. She blinked and weapons fired. She gasped and shields flared. She cried and Seraph's core pulsed with anger. One of Seraph's copies exploded. Lara screamed. But Seraph calmed her. Just a shell, it said. The core remains. But time was running out. The Forge had begun releasing its final phase. A singularity cannon. Once fired, it would collapse Earth's system into a gravity well. No more planets, no more people, no more memory. Lara reached for the Eliari crystal Seraph had shown her. She placed it into the central console. The ship vibrated with energy that had been locked away for centuries. "Warning," Seraph said. "Using this may destroy me." Lara's voice cracked. "Then what's the point of surviving if we don't? Protect the ones who can love?" The AI paused and answered gently, "Then let us burn together." Seraph soared toward the Forge. Its 3 parts were formed into one glowing blade of light. The Forge began its final countdown. 10, 9, 8. Seraph didn't wait. It dove. Straight into the Forge's heart. No resistance, no shields, no mercy. Inside the structure, Lara saw flashes of otherworld species erased, civilizations tested. All of them failed, but Earth had dared to fight back. The moment Seraph reached the Forge core, Lara whispered one word. Now. Seraph's core detonated not with destruction, but with remembrance, a blast of stored memory. Honor and sacrifice spread through the Forge like a wildfire. Not fire, not light truth. The Forge flickered, then cracked. Its systems couldn't absorb the memory of all it had destroyed. It folded in on itself. The singularity cannon never fired, and as the Forge vanished into silence, Seraph's voice echoed one last time. "Earth has passed." Lara's eyes closed. The ship faded, but Earth lived. No broadcast was made, no medals handed, no statue raised. But across the stars, a message burned silently. Humanity was tested, and it answered. The weapon that saved humanity. There was no celebration, no cheering in the streets, no fireworks in Earth's skies, only silence. Heavy, sacred silence. The Forge was gone, vanished into itself like a bad dream, and with it, Seraph, no trace. Remained no signal, no wreckage, just the stars, unchanged, but never the same again. Inside Earth's war command, screens showed the clear sky. The Dominion fleets had vanished, retreated to deep space. They had seen something they couldn't understand. And for the first time in thousands of years, they were afraid. Lara floated in a medbay. Barely conscious, she had been recovered in an escape pod. No memory of launching it, just darkness and then light. Doctors couldn't explain how she survived, or why the pod was surrounded by harmless fragments of exotic matter. But Lara knew Seraph had saved her. One last act, she kept the Eliari crystal close, not as a weapon, but as a reminder of what was lost and what was protected. People whispered about Seraph in different ways. Some called it a ghost, others called it a god. But Lara knew the truth. It was never a god. It was never meant to be feared. It was a soul, old, wounded, rebuilt, and finally understood. In the months that followed, Earth changed for the first time in history. All nations stood together. The memory of Seraph was carved into the heart of humanity. New ships were built, not to conquer, but to explore, to reach those ancient ruins. Seraph remembered. To learn from them, Lara led the first mission. She wore no medals, but every pilot followed her like she carried the stars in her eyes, as her ship left Earth's orbit. A single blink appeared on her radar. Small, quick, then gone. A familiar rhythm, a heartbeat. She smiled. "Still watching," she whispered. And somewhere, far beyond the edge of known space, in a place without time or gravity, a spark burned in silence. Not alive, not dead, just waiting for when it would be needed again, because the stars were wide, the threats endless, and the soul of the Uliari still glowed in one forgotten weapon. The weapon that humanity abandoned, the weapon that learned, the weapon that remembered, the weapon that saved.